Hi, and welcome back to Plastic Models by a Regular Dude, and part number 5, the final of the Tamiya 1/20th scale Honda RA272. So if you've been following along with this series, you'll know from the first video of the series that this is pretty much a first for me in my modern modeling life. The last automotive kit I built was back in the mid 80s, and that doesn't really count because I just kind of slapped it together. I didn't even paint the thing. I was building it for a friend, and he didn't want all that. He just wanted it slapped together, so that's what I did. Other than that, I painted and built some kits when I was a kid, like in elementary school. I think the last one I built was probably 5th grade, and that would have been 1975 to 74, 75 school year. And those were like Revell and AMT kits, and I was all into the 50s cars and stuff like that. So that was really the last time let's loosely use the word seriously, built a car model. So here we are in 2024, many years later, and thought I'd give one a shot. I like the Formula One kind of automotive racing. I don't follow much. I enjoy watching it occasionally. It's better than just, oval track racing. But I find the cars and their designs to be pretty cool. It's kind of cool to see how they've developed over the years. And I think my favorite time period is probably like the late 60s, early 70s kind of deal. I just like that style of car. So that's why I chose this one. It was also a good price, Tamiya, so I'm sure it's, I was sure that it would be somewhat manageable with my car building skills or lack thereof. And so I figured I'd give it a shot. So here it is. First thing I want to talk about is let's kind of start at the get-go. Instructions are fine. They, perfectly fine. They're just tell you how to do it. One thing that was kind of unusual about this was the plastic itself. It's not as hard or brittle as most Tamiya kits are. It seemed like the plastic, especially the black parts, were like suspension parts and stuff like that, were almost Bandai-like in hardness / softness, whatever you want to call it. It's almost like if you've ever built a Gundam kit or a Star Wars kit or something like that. The plastic is a little bit different. I'm not even sure if it's totally polystyrene plastic. I haven't looked into it, but on the Bandai kits, but it's somewhat flexible. It can be glued, it can be painted, reacts a lot like just regular polystyrene, like in a typical, automotive or aircraft or armor kit. But it seems it's a little bit softer, a little more flexible, I would say. And that's the way I found the gray, or not the gray, but the silver and black parts on this, because it was molded in 3 colors: white, which was the general body color, black, like I said, mostly suspension parts, dashboard, steering wheel, and exhaust parts, and then silver for like all the engine parts, the disc brakes, kind of more mechanical things. So in essence, a person could build one of these like you can a Gundam kit or something like that, build it without painting anything, and it'd still look like a decent model. I chose to paint it, of course, because that's the way I build models. But the plastic was a little bit different. But it worked fine. It was probably kind of helpful, especially some of these more spindly parts like suspension parts, steering linkages, stuff like that, in that when working with them, they're going to flex a little bit more before they snap. Now, I did manage to snap a piece, but I glued it while it was still on the sprue, and once it dried, it was perfect. I mean, you couldn't even tell it was broke, and it didn't seem to be a weak spot, so no problems there. So anyway, that's the deal with the plastic. It was kind of unusual. Now this kit has rubber tires. They're not vinyl like you'd find in, say, a Revell kit or AMT kit or something like, or other kits maybe, but it's actually a rubber type stuff, and it looks really good. It looks like the real deal. They molded it in a really nice color. The wheels fit perfectly into the tires, and then they've got this cool, Goodyear print on them that's already done. It's not a decal. You don't have to paint or anything. And they just look really, really good. I like the tires. You can see a little bit better back there probably because the light's a little bit better. The Goodyear emblem. So that's that's pretty cool. I like that. As far as the assembly goes, it was pretty straightforward, pretty easy. There's a few parts that, like the actual drive axles back here. Let me see if I can get a pointer so I can show you what I'm talking about. These right here, those don't have a real positive fit, so it's not like you can glue them in place and know that they're going to be where they need to be. So I did not glue those on during the assembly process until I actually got to where I was installing the last parts, which are these linkages in here with the wheels or with the hubs, the disc brakes, that kind of stuff. And it didn't cause any problems doing it that way. It worked fine, and I was able to make sure everything got lined up. There's also a part in the engine. You can't really see it even if I take a part off, but it's a hose or pipe that goes from the engine to the firewall. And that one fits snug enough that I put it in at the beginning of the build process, which is the engine in step 1, and it never fell out. So then when I put the engine in, all I had to do was just wiggle a little bit with some tweezers to get it to go into the hole in the firewall itself. Other than that, there was no fit issues or anything like that. It all went together quite nicely. Features on this kit that some people may find interesting: the front steering linkage does allow you to turn the wheels, so you can have straight ahead. You can put this dramatic car magazine style slightly turned wheels. These 3 panels back here are removable. This one is just friction fit, so it just pops off so you can see the engine inside. It's a pretty nicely detailed engine, and once you get it all painted up with all the different colors that are required, it actually looks pretty cool. You can really see what's going on in there. Now there's a lot of people I've seen while doing research on this kit that super detail them with all the spark plug wires and all that kind of stuff. And I figured for my first automotive kit, I would just stick to just out of the box basics and just leave it like that. These sides can also come off via these little screws. And there's a lot of people that complain, it's like, well, you got this big Phillips head screw on the side of a 120 scale car. It's like, well, yeah, if you're going for like ultra accuracy, if it was a problem, you could just put it in place and glue it and, just putty over, fill it up, and boom, you're good. But, it's kind of a little, we'll call it a feature. Some might call it a gimmick to allow you to see what's going on underneath the hood, so to speak. So let me put this back on here. I'll probably be off camera a little bit, but sorry. All right. Something else is you can take this the front off. I'm not going to because it kind of snaps into place and it's kind of hard to get on and off. But you can see all the linkages and stuff and the radiator and some of the stuff that's going on underneath there. And I'm sure there's a lot missing compared to the real car, but this is a model kit. But other than that, there's no other real features, so to speak. The clear parts are very clear, which is nice. And here's something else that's odd. And I guess it's something else that you could do. I mean, it offers some possibilities. But these 3 panels back here are actually on the clear sprue. So theoretically, you could put those in place and it'd just be see-through. Or I just thought if somebody wanted to get real clever, you could paint half of it white and the other panel on the other side white. Leave this half and this panel here clear. That way you can see the engine from one side, but if you didn't want the clear parts, you could just spin that baby around and boom, you got the solid stuff. So, you know, that'd be a way to display it. It might be kind of interesting if people wanted to see what was underneath the engine covers without actually having to remove them. So as I say, fit and finish was just fine. There was quite a bit of cleanup for seam lines and stuff like that, but this kit was produced in the late 90s, so you know, technology is technology and they can only do so much, and it was really easy to clean it up. I didn't find any problems with roundness longitudinally being a problem. Sometimes when you have these older kits, especially older kits, if you have something that's round, you know, in cross section, if the molds aren't perfect, they might be a little bit like this. So if you clean up the seam lines, you end up with something that's more of an oval than round. That wasn't really a problem with this. Once I scraped and sanded this stuff off, it was still round. So no problems there. I painted it with a mixture of paints, Tamiya paints, MRP. For brush painting, I mostly used AK 3rd Gen paints, which are water-based. Everything else I used with MLT, Mr. Leveling Thinner, and all worked like a champ. No problem with, you know, marring the paint or the plastic or anything like that, which I wasn't really concerned about it, but I wondered how it would react with that softer plastic, but it never was an issue. So that's pretty much it on the construction of the kit. It worked pretty well. Now, would I recommend this kit? Yes, I would. I think this is a kit that if somebody wanted to build it and it's like one of their first models, I think they could probably do it. You know, again, like I say, you don't have to paint it. You know, probably be a good idea to paint it, but one can put it all together unpainted, put the decals on, and boom, you're good to go. So there's that. One more thing, the decals. For Tamiya decals, you know, a lot of times their decals are really thick, and that can be problematic when painting and then clearing or whatever. These were actually quite thin, and they went down really good with no trouble. Didn't get any silvering, nothing like that. The only decal I did not use was the one for the red circle, the Japanese sun on the front of the car. Because it's so simple, I decided just to spray that with red, and I used Japanese aircraft Hinomaru color red. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but that's what I used. The rest of it's decals, and it worked good. And I was going to clear coat it, and after I got it together, I discovered I wasn't going to mess with it because it looks pretty good like it is. So there you go, decals good. Again, back to my review. Do I recommend it? Yes, I do. It's a good kit. I enjoyed it. It worked well. Went together good. I consider myself a complete amateur when it comes to automotive stuff, so I didn't find anything that, like, you know, held me up. The possibilities and for super detailing, like the engine and brake lines and stuff like that, is there. I've seen some done like that, and they turned out really, really nice. So it's a good kit for either beginners or advanced users. So I would definitely recommend it. And there you have it. The Tamiya 120 scale Honda RA272. I hope you enjoyed following along with this build series. If you did, if you haven't, maybe go back and check it out. I've got it divided up pretty well. Went step by step, so there's just a few steps in each. So if you need to really check it out and see what's going on step by step, it's pretty easy to follow. Not too much information. So yeah, there you go. That's it. I will tack up a nice little slideshow for the end so you can check it out at your leisure. And again, I hope you enjoyed following along. So as always, thanks for watching Plastic Models by a Regular Dude. And until next time, I will see you all later.